Hey guys, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, and today I'm reviewing the PRX Profile Pro Rack. It's actually been about 6 years. Man, I've been doing this a long time. It's about 6 years since I did the original review on this rack. They've since updated it many times since. I've actually done a few different videos related to this rack. One was we dropped over 500 pounds on it. It held, pretty cool video. The other one we did was we actually went out to PRX in North Dakota and saw how they built it. So today I'm gonna tell you what I think about it, what I think about the cost, because this isn't the cheapest rack on the market compared to other racks as well. And basically let you know, like, this has been on the market quite a while. Is this actually a rack that you should still buy despite the myriad of fold away, retractable, kind of like wall mounted racks on the market? Let's find out. Okay, so about 6 years ago when I did the original review on this, there really wasn't anything to compare. The reality was there really wasn't even any fold-in racks. Today, you have so many options. This one though is different than any other, and it's because they hold a patent. It actually folds up and out. And so that's really what the most remarkable part of this rack is the ability to fold it up and out. And it actually only sticks off the wall 4 inches from the wall when it's put away. This is really designed for people that are using this in a garage in which they still park in, which why you would do that, I don't know. But if you would like to do that, this allows you to do that, or allows people that just want a clean training space, don't have a lot of space, but allow them to put it up out of the way when they want to do barbell movements off the floor and things like that. Now, this does fold up, and one of the unique parts about that is that it's actually assisted folding. So what you can see on all sides are gas shocks. They're 100-pound gas shocks. They basically allow you to assist the lift and pull down of the rack. Over time, it actually gets easier because they break in, and you can loosen up the bolts to break it in even more. But the ability to fold it up and out and to do it assisted makes it so it's just really easy. This is one of the problems with fold in or fold away racks is you kind of have to like deconstruct them. So like the pull-up bar, for instance, on many of the fold away racks, you have to undo. You also have to take off the J-cups and everything else. This one, you can leave pretty much everything on the rack, including safety spotters if you wanted to. You could leave them all on the rack, put it up, lock it in, and it's ready to go. And then when you want to use it, pull out the pin, pull it down, and it's good to go. That's what the most unique feature of this rack is. So if you're looking for that, something that's really easy to put away, there really just truthfully isn't much to compare it to. This is their Pro series. They have a Profile 1 series, which is a 2x3 rack. It's a little bit cheaper, still made in the USA, but not quite as like modern geometry as this one is with the 3x3 square posts. And they also have a fold-in rack that is very cheap. But this one, I think for most of you, if you're looking at a PRX rack and you want something that folds away and will take all the attachments and everything from other companies that you want to use, this is the one to get. Now, they've changed a few things on this. Some of them I think are good, some of them are just, I don't know, even though they tried to sell me on it. One of them is the upright holes. So this is using a 3x3, a true 3x3. This is US source steel. This whole thing is made in the US. We've actually seen it done, and it's actually one of the reasons that this thing is such high quality is they're doing pretty much everything in-house, including the powder coat. And it's on like the newest, latest, greatest machines, including welding. They're using a lot of robot welders. It's just like, dude, this thing is dialed. The powder coat, honestly, is some of my favorite powder coat any in the industry. I'll talk more about the colors and options like that later in a moment, but I will say this Porsche like gray, this thing is chef's kiss. But the holes is one of the most unique changes they've made. So as you can see, these are 5/8 holes. There's a lot of holes on this, on the front of the uprights and the back uprights. They're actually using 2-inch on-center holes all throughout the front and back of the uprights with 1-inch on-center holes through the bench area called west side hole spacing. Basically, that allows you to have a lot of adjustments. They're also using 5/8 holes on the sides. They're not using quite as many holes, but they're still 2 inches on center. Honestly, of the companies that are making racks, this one probably has as much or more holes than anybody out there except for Eleiko, which is a very good thing. Just gives you a lot of places to attach things to. But 5/8 holes is typically for the like mid-tier racks. You see this with Rogue, they have their Monster Light rack. You see this with Rep, they have their PR4000. The real like high-end racks are using 1-inch holes. The reason they're using 1-inch holes is because they're using bigger bolts and they're using bigger attachments. And because they're using bigger attachments, they're often stronger. Now there's kind of like some disagreement on this. When I went to PRX, they really tried to sell me hard on the 5-inch hole being a benefit.
5/8 inch, the sheer strength is over 50,000 pounds.
Sure.
You know, no human's gonna hit that. So that's kind of where we started.
Not knowing that I've used literally every upright in the world and I know what's best. But that being said, there is some good arguments for it. The biggest argument I would say is the fact that you do have more holes. So because you have more holes, you can dial things in more, specifically on bench. Because they're using west side hole spacing, you can put your J-cups at like way more options than you can with a 1-inch hole. The downside though is the attachments that you use aren't quite as strong. For instance, I think the attachment that most like makes this realized is the leg roller. You can take a leg roller with a 1-inch hole and you can just pop it in there. It works really well and it's really strong. It's also one of the most used attachments in the world. I mean, that's the attachment probably on my rack outside of like J-cups and spotter arms. I probably use a leg roller more than just about any other. I use it all the time. Well, if you're using a 5/8 rack, you can't use a 5/8 leg roller. Like they don't just attach right in. They have to be used like a J-cup. So it's just a little bit different use case. They're not quite as strong. I will say, like, I think the real reason for doing this is because they're also using this on their other racks, like their Build Limitless racks and things like that. So they just want to have one set of uprights, which makes sense. I don't think it's a big enough downside to not buy the rack. It's just personally, like this is just an honest review, I prefer a 1-inch hole. Now, one thing you will notice is this is laser cut all through the uprights. So all the holes are laser cut, all the logos are laser cut, also all the numbers are laser cut. And as you can see, there's a lot of numbers. Like the upright itself, they like went to the drawing board, like how can we make this better? This is really one of the best ways you can make a 5/8 3x3 upright. They did tons of holes, tons of laser cut numbers, no stickers. It's very well done. I really like, outside of the 5/8 hole, which some people like, I really like the uprights. Now, one thing that's unique on this is the ability to hold the pull-up bars on the rack while you're pulling it up and pulling it down. They have 3 pull-up bar options. One is a straight bar, one is a kipping bar, which is really designed for CrossFit and was really like this was made in some ways in the beginning to be a CrossFit type rack. It's now used by pretty much everyone. And because they're used by everyone, they came out with a multi-grip bar, which I just want to say, the multi-grip bar is by far the best bar that they offer. It is really well done. It has an extremely gritty black powder coat. Honestly, one of the most textured powder coats on a pull-up bar. Like it just grips really well. I love the multi-grip pull-up bar that's on here. It does add extra weight when you're putting it up, but thanks to the gas shocks, it doesn't make it too bad. The other change though that they made, and I think is significant and matters, is the way that it bolts to the wall. The thing with this is you're using your studs in your wall to provide the stability of the rack in addition to the uprights. That's what basically is holding it, and that's what you put it up against, which by the way, the assembly, that's one thing worth talking about. The assembly is not crazy long, but just understand you wanna go in it with a plan. You can also talk to them and they'll literally walk you through it on the phone or through FaceTime, which is pretty cool. But just understand this isn't as easy as just a standalone rack because you have to find studs, you have to drill it in. But I will say, like if you've used a drill before, like you can figure it out, it's not very hard. But the thing that changed with the mounting system now is they used to have brackets that went all across the wall. Now, as you can see, there's just a big wide opening in the middle. There's no cross members attaching, which my initial worry was like, oh, they're doing this to probably save shifting, makes sense. Probably save on cost for them, less metal, makes sense. But what is that gonna do to the end product? I would say this, it's not any less stable than it was before. The stability forward and back has always been really solid. The stability side to side has always been a little bit off. Like basically, I would personally, when I'm using dip horns on these, I always use them on the front. You can use them on the sides. It's just not as stable as front to back. But I was worried the stability would be even worse now that they don't have the cross member. And I'll just say, like, truthfully, in my use of it, it feels the exact same. The benefit to this is you now have a big open wall in the back, which could allow you to add things in the back. So if you wanted to use a mirror back there because you like to look at yourself more, you could do that, which I don't think that's the greatest idea. What I would do, and I'm hoping PRX does, is put a weight stack lat pull down or functional trainer option that goes against the wall, sits off about 4 inches, just like the uprights. That would be, ooh, I hope they do that. I gave them that idea and they said, oh, that's a good idea, we'll see. So we'll see. Okay, so lastly is the value, the cost. All right, brace yourself, because this thing, like, I always do this whenever we get a new product, is I'll ask our team, like, how much do you think this costs? Lately, and I think it's because inflation, the costs have always been like more expensive than what people expected. And I think this is one as well. Okay, the starting cost for this, for the Pro Series, they have a Profile 1 Series, which is their 2x3 version. That is about $200 cheaper at the starting point. But for most people, this is the one if you're going with PRX, just buy the good one. But this one starts at $1,100. So it starts base price at $1,100. That includes the shorter uprights, that includes just the straight pull-up bar, but it's still a really nice rack. But, and this is really like where the annoyance comes in, is that's not the total cost because you have to factor in shipping. PRX is one of the few companies still out there in the home equipment space that isn't offering free shipping, which by the way, I think it'd be a good idea to offer free shipping. Like Amazon owns the customer base. That's what people are used to is free shipping. When you add things to cart and then you have to factor in shipping, I just don't like that anymore. Just give me the free shipping. So when you add on shipping, at least to us, it was another $345. So total cost for this version right here, which I would think is the one you really want with the multi-growth pull-up bar, is over $1,600, which that is an expensive, like it's just reality, that's an expensive rack. I will say the quality meets the price. Like you get this in, you can't really make this that much better quality. Like made in the USA, great powder coat, great fit and finish, laser cut all throughout, robot welds, like everything about it is like just, it's really nice. So if you want a rack that's gonna last a lifetime, like you're gonna want this one. Like it's really nice for that. But it's also just not that much parts and stuff. Like it's a pretty simple, like it's got the nice gas shocks and things, but overall, like you got 2 uprights to use. You still have to get spotter arms, which I didn't include the cost of that. So when you compare that to other racks, if you just want a wall-mounted rack that doesn't take up a lot of space, it's gonna take up more than this, but doesn't take up a lot of space, you can go with something much cheaper that's just a fixed rack like Rep Fitness or Titan Fitness or Rogue Fitness. Sornex even has one that just fits right up against the wall. But if you want something that folds away, you can get something much cheaper that folds away, folds out, but you have to deconstruct it, including PRX. They've got a really cheap rack. But if you want something that keeps all together and folds up and out of the way, like this is your option. Like they own the patent, so that's why they're able to basically they've got a lot of IP and resources behind this. So because of that, they're able to price it where it is, but it's a really good product. So do I recommend it in 2023, 2024? Absolutely. But only if you really want the fold-up feature, because you can get other racks that don't take up a lot of space that fold out and you can deconstruct that are much cheaper. So you just gotta decide which one you want. But I will say, if you get this, you'll be very happy with it because it is a very good rack. Like the fold-up feature, I mean, it is tops. So good. And I like the uprights. I like some of the changes. I personally prefer 1-inch holes, but I mean, I also like the fact that there's so many holes on this with west side hole spacing. I can understand the change. Now, one of the things with the changes though, they've changed from 1-inch holes on the Pro Rack to now 5/8-inch holes, and that's just standard. You can't even get 1-inch holes from PRX anymore. Okay, that's what I think about the rack. What do you think about it? Do you have a PRX rack, or are you looking to get one? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what you think. This has been Coop from Garage Reviews. I'll see you next time. Peace.